Hello, I am Sarah Scharnober. Welcome to my channel if you are new here. If you have been here before, welcome back. I am a horror author and an AuthorTuber, and this is my channel. So if you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It means a whole lot to me. I would appreciate it. So as a lot of you know, I am a horror author. I typically write more slow burn kind of horror. I was invited to join Wordstock this Camp NaNoWriMo. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about suspense. I feel like that's kind of my wheelhouse. As I've mentioned before on my channel, I'm not real great at being a teacher. That's not really a skill set I have. So because of that, I've used some sources to help guide me through what I want to talk about. I am going to put my sources down below, so if you have any questions or you want to look deeper into what these places said versus what came out of my face, feel free to go and check them out. Suspense is defined as a state or feeling of excited or anxious uncertainty about what may happen. So suspense in and of itself is a feeling, and in order to convey suspense in our writing, we have to be able to build that feeling up in our reader. Some of the things that we need to do to build that suspense is to start with a conflict. A conflict is anything where there is a disagreement, but we want our conflicts to be a little bigger. You don't want the conflict to be whether you get the gray striped kitten or the white kitten. That's not enough conflict under most circumstances. I mean, unless you're arguing between toddlers or something, in which case I'm sure that's a whole different story. But anyway, the conflict should be something bigger. It should be something that has some sort of stakes. Conflict may or may not start out having those huge stakes, but it is important that down the line, at some point in your story, the conflict itself becomes deep enough that your characters are feeling the emotions associated with it, and if they're feeling the emotions associated with it, and they don't know where it's going, then neither will your reader. And your reader will then feel that suspense along with them. One of the most important things about conveying suspense to your reader is in the pace of your writing. And the pace of your writing is something that for many of us will come somewhat naturally. However, to build that pacing up and make it tight and 100% convey the things that you need it to be able to maintain your suspense, you probably are going to have to go back and tighten that some in your edit, especially if you're the kind of person who does no editing during your writing process. There are various ways that you can change the pacing of your story, including the fact that you can shorten your sentences to make them read faster. You can elongate your sentences. You can use words that encourage your reader to think slower or faster, and those things will influence the reader to read in that way. One of the things about suspense is that you can't maintain a very high level of suspense for an excessive amount of time. Your reader needs to build and cool. Because it's a lot harder to find a book that everybody has read, I'm going to go ahead and use a genre of movie. You'll notice if you watch horror movies, specifically like slasher movies, even though the whole point is you're being chased by this cold-blooded killer, they have a machete, you run, they walk, they still catch up to you. Holy crap, that's freaking terrifying. The suspense has to be broken up. And some of the ways they do that breaking up of the suspense is by breaking it down occasionally. Sometimes you need to slow that suspense down. You can't hit a crescendo and maintain it. And that is one of the most important things about building suspense, is that while you can build some suspense, you want to back it back down. You don't want to back it all the way back down, but if suspense is like a 10-point scale, you want to build the suspense up to a 3, back it down to a 2, build it up to a 4, back it down to a 3, build it up to a 5, back it down to a 3. You know, you want to give a false sense of security for a moment. You want your reader to think, okay, things have calmed down, just in time for things to ramp back up. That sense of security, those kinds of things, also remind your reader that at any moment, this story can change. At any moment, this can shift over to another terrible thing or another difficulty for my character. That's why suspense is so difficult, is because you can't just maintain it. Maintaining a story's suspense at a 5 all the way across the board for the whole book is almost never going to be manageable because a reader can't maintain the level of suspense on a flat line like that. That just doesn't tend to speak to people. You need that back and forth. A lot of times in slasher movies, they will use a jump scare to back down the suspense a little bit so that you can maintain composure because something happened and now I can calm down for a moment because something else isn't going to happen back to back. That doesn't work as well in a book. However, a good thing to use in a book would be maybe a red herring. Misdirect your reader to something over here when in fact they needed to be looking over there. That can be very helpful in place of like a jump scare. Keep in mind that this doesn't only work for like slasher and horror. It's just a lot easier for me to illustrate. Number one, in my own genre, and number two, in a more aggressively suspenseful genre. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm gonna have a list of names of everyone else who did Wordstock. I'm going to try to get all of their channels down below. If for some reason I can't find one, it'll take me a little bit of time. I will try to update it. I want to say thank you to Robert for inviting me to participate, and I want to encourage you guys to check out all of the other channels. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. If you've been here before, thank you again for stopping by. And don't forget that I have live streams on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central. I also put out new videos on Sundays, kind of whenever they get done. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I will talk to you guys all on Friday, and have a good week and good writing. Bye.